not just an idea, but it is a lived experience from our incredible authors who have poured their hearts into this book. The first webinar was very good. We dived into how our authors experienced fear and how they went on to conquer fear. Before you dive in, feel free to share your reflections in the chat as we go along. We want to have an engaging conversation. This conversation will be powerful, and your voice as our audience is welcome here. Let us begin by welcoming our amazing authors. We have Teresia, we have Agnes, Bilha, and Hadija joining us today. Each of them has a unique journey, and what they have written in the book reflects the courage it takes to turn fear into action. For our lovely authors, when you introduce yourself, you will state your name, what you do professionally, and any other businesses that you run or own. What is one unique thing about you? And after your introduction, you'll go ahead and give us a glimpse into your chapter. We will start with Teresia, then we can go ahead to Agnes, Hadija, and finally Belha. Ladies, welcome.
Thank you very much, Celine, and thank you very much, everyone who has managed to dial in. We truly appreciate. We hope you're having a good evening, and we hope you will learn a lot from the session, that it will be engaging and you'll be able to contribute positively to each other. So my name is Teresia Wambogo. I am a banker by profession, specifically a trade finance product manager. And basically what that means is that I help businesses to reduce friction in their operations so that they can thrive. I am also very passionate about supporting technology-related businesses, especially women-led businesses, and leveraging innovation and technology to unlock that growth. And how I have done that is participating in what we run as an organization called the Women in Tech program, where I've participated for a couple of years now as a judge, picking out unique businesses that are getting into the incubation stage. And now we are doing the acceleration stages as well. So we impact them with skills as they go through the program. One fact about me is that I am a passionate baker, self-taught. So if we ever meet up, there is a high chance I'll show up with some pastries in hand. In the book, Do It Afraid, I have written chapter 4, which is Women Who Do It Afraid. And this chapter just basically brings to life stories of remarkable women who have faced fear head on. So these stories are not just inspiring, but they also provide practical strategies on how you can apply it in career, in your business, and in your personal life. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Teresia. That was lovely. I didn't know you were a baker, but I'm happy to know that. We should be expecting some goodies from you on the lunch day then. I will have Agnes go next. Okay, then if Agnes is not ready, I will have Hadija do the introduction.
Well, good evening, everyone, fellow co-authors. Celine, thank you for the wonderful introduction. Thank you to everybody who's joined us and who's joining us live on YouTube and Zoom. My name is Khadija Dohri. I am, by profession, I'm a senior research officer at the Parliamentary Service Commission. I've also had a number of years of experience in resource mobilization and fundraising for international organizations. I am also very privileged to share that I am a 10-time Academic Scholarship Award winner. So I am very grateful to have had the opportunity, to be supported all throughout my education. My bachelor's is in political science. My master's is in peace and conflict studies. And I was recently accepted to a university in the US to pursue a PhD in political science, which I do talk about in the book. And I'm very fortunate to be able to co-author this book with these wonderful, incredible ladies from different sectors. My chapter was chapter 8, and a dive into my own personal and professional journey as to how I was able to access at least 10 scholarships during my time, as a student in high school, all the way to doing the International Baccalaureate Diploma program at the Aga Khan Academies, to eventually doing my first bachelor's in Istanbul and then my master's in Ankara, and finally coming back to Kenya and giving back to communities. So the chapter actually focuses on the things that I felt were very impactful in my own journey. And I talk mostly about confidence and how confidence is critical for women in every stage in life. And I feel like once you've mastered the art of, showing up consistently and speaking up, even when your voice shakes, you have conquered one of the biggest fears, that accompanies women. And from my own personal journey, I can say that with a lot of authority, that confidence does take you far in life, and it helps you, walk on very unfamiliar roads, but succeed in doing that as well. So I'm very happy to be here today to be able to share insights into the chapter and to learn from all the wonderful ladies that are here today. And also, one of the key things that I'm actually working on now and I've just successfully co-founded is an initiative called Sister Scholars. I want to give back to girls in Kenya who've had a similar journey, who are walking that path. They're looking for, financial resources to either support their high school education or university education, or are looking for mentorship. So I'm doing education consultancy at the moment. I'm looking for young girls who are looking to either study locally or abroad, to access those scholarship opportunities, to find funds to support them, and to give them the tips and tricks, on how to find these opportunities and how to write a good application and personal statements and all that. So if you have young girls in high school or in university who are struggling or just looking for, that push, feel free to connect them with me. I'll be happy to help. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hadija. We are very delighted to have you with us, and we can't wait to hear from you. Agnes, you're ready? So we can have you do the introduction next.
Thank you, Celine. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, fellow ladies, and those who joined us. We are so delighted to have you. So, my name is Agnes Ochieng. I'm a finance and operations executive with over 18 years experience in building financial resilience and governance systems in mission-driven institutions in Africa. So this is a unique thing about me is like while my career is about numbers and systems, I'm equally passionate about people. I mentor young professionals. I've just truly learned that there's something really truly fulfilling in about guiding someone to become a better version of themselves. So I therefore openly seek and provide mentorship to upcoming professionals. As a champion of governance excellence and financial sustainability and ERP transformations that drive efficiency, I enjoy helping organizations turn challenges into opportunities. So I've supported a number of organizations during delicate shifts in their strategy and mission, or during upscaling the operations, or even restoring credibility and accountability. This I did in one organization that was near collapsing. So I truly believe that courage is the greatest investment anybody can ever make. I've learned a lot. I've learned fear to be a lot like Wi-Fi. It's invisible, yet it's always around us. So the real choice is just between whether we stay connected to it or we disconnect and plug to courage. Co-authoring Do It Afraid was meaningful for me. It gave me a time to reflect my own journey of turning fear into fuel and choosing courage, even in moments of uncertainty. So my chapter, which is the first chapter, it's titled Brave Anyway. A Journey into Fear, Growth, and Leadership. And here I explore the fears I've encountered as a young woman navigating life in the city while starting college, stepping into the world, and also when stepping into the world of work. I also share a bit of a glimpse into my childhood as the firstborn, the responsibilities that come with it, as a firstborn in a large family, and then I also trace my path into career and to leadership. So I share at every stage, I highlight the fears that showed up and the lessons that I carried with it and the practical tools that I use to navigate those fears and lean in with the courage. So I'm excited to share this space with you all today and also excited to be part of this conversation. Back to you, Celine.
Thank you so much, Courage. I feel like Agnes, I feel like your story is one that depicts courage in its whole, and I really love that. And it's good that it's the first chapter. It brings us into the world of doing it afraid. Thank you for that. We'll have Bilha introduce herself next.
Okay. Thank you, Celine. Good evening, everyone. I hope you're all well. My name is Bilha Mureithi. I am professionally a commercial leader with over 12 years of experience in business operations, in finance, and strategy across various industries, banking, fintech, and automotive industry. I currently work for HF Group in the commercial department of their innovation wing of the bank. I would say one thing that I think is unique about me is that I have learned to take bold leaps in my career and in my other parts in other parts of my personal life, even when the timing is not right or feels like it's not right, even when the resources are limited, or especially when my confidence didn't also feel perfect. So just that boldness to be able to make a move. I believe in starting before I feel I'm ready, and then learning on the way, which is something that I've mentioned in my chapter. And like I said, this cuts across other parts of my life. It's not only in my career. To those who know me personally, some of who are in this session can attest to that. So I have co-authored this interesting book, Do It Afraid. I've written chapter 2 of the book. And I would say I would title that as, taking the first step. And that chapter reflects on the moments when I had to step into opportunities that actually scared me. From my first job at Cheki Kenya back in 2012, earning a salary of about 15,000, where you're wondering if that will cater for rent, or that is transport to work, or that is food, or that is clothing, to making what may seem crazy and uncomfortable decisions career-wise in the eyes of other people, taking on leadership roles in banking, to building a startup from scratch during a pandemic, and so on and so forth. And the central lesson I would say from that chapter is growth. Growth rarely comes in comfortable zones. That so far has been my experience. Every big shift in my career came from choosing courage over fear. So I'm really looking forward to the discussions this evening and to also learn from my co-authors as well as the audience. Back to you, Celine.
Thank you so much, Bilha. That was lovely from you all ladies. You're all amazing. And I am very grateful for you all taking the step into this journey of doing it afraid. For everyone that has just joined us, I welcome you all to our second Do It Afraid webinar. Whether you're joining us from Zoom or YouTube or LinkedIn, welcome. We're here to dive in deeper into the discussion of doing it afraid because you know this is not just an idea. We have authors who have lived it as an experience, and I believe some of you have also. And we want to know, how do we do it afraid? Yes. Now, let's peel back the curtain on the writing journey itself. Writing about fear is not easy. It means putting a piece of your life on paper. I'll direct this to Agnes and Bilha. Did the process of writing your stories expose fears you did not realize you had? How did you handle that vulnerability on the pages of the words you're writing down?
Thank you, Celine, for that question. Yes, in my introduction, I said fear is like Wi-Fi, invisible but is always present. During my journey of writing the book, my chapter, fear was present, yes, and I struggled to, because I was writing from my own experience, from my own journey, from my own live. So I really questioned myself. I really took time. Sorry, I was among those who submitted latest. I debated with fear of judgment and then just being vulnerable because I'm sharing personal stories. So that vulnerability exposed me to a lot of fears. How will people judge me? How will people take my story? Will they relate with my story? And so I had a lot of back and forth. And I also judged myself. As much as I thought people will judge me, I also judged myself. And I told myself, from my career as an accountant, we are not good with words. So I really couldn't see how an accountant can put words in a book. So I also judged myself, and I told myself I was not ready. In fact, in the process, I even invited somebody to do it instead of myself. But coming to think about it, looking at the book and what the project was all about, one day I had a meeting with myself and looked, okay, I am actually living what I'm about to write. So in that moment when I look, this is a growth opportunity similar to my journey that I'm fearing to share out. So then that is when now I got the courage that my journey has been a lot of fear and just showing up. So I decided show up by just writing a chapter. And to my surprise, when I showed up, I was able to write, even exceed the number of words. Now I had the problem of reducing to fit within the words. So even in the process of writing this book, I learned the importance of showing up, and the importance of believing in yourself, confidence. The confidence, as explained in one of our chapters, the 3 C's of confidence. That is giving yourself permission to show up, and then having a community. I know there are people that would relate with my story. So this giving them also the chance to also learn from me. And just like I said, I enjoy mentoring people. This also offered a platform to mentor others also to face their fears. So that was my journey. I had fears writing it. And then hitting the button, I also had the fears. What will people think about me? Yes. So that was how it was like writing my chapter.
Yeah.
What happened in Young Orange?
Yeah, thank you so much, Agnes. We're so glad that you conquered the fear and eventually decided to write. That was so much because people will really relate with your story. Bilha, I directed the same question to you. Would you please tell
Okay.
us?
Yeah, sure, Celine. Thank you. I know during my introduction, I mentioned that I take bold steps, but this was hard. I asked myself, what did I, what do I even say? Who am I to even imagine that I can be a voice that can be listened to? There are some very personal and difficult, painful parts of my journey that were also very hard to put into words. But writing actually forced me to confront that self-doubt that I carried when, taking on some of those big roles that I felt I wasn't ready for. And sometimes you don't realize how much imposter syndrome has shaped you until you revisit the story. So one of my toughest experiences, or the hardest fear to write as I was documenting my story, was my workplace discrimination when I became a mother. That was still is deeply personal and painful, but I wanted to highlight that the fear of losing your career identity is actually real, and many women suffer in silence. So some of those things are what gave me the courage and confidence to put that down, but it wasn't easy for sure.
Thank you so much, Bilha and Agnes. I love how each of you embraced vulnerability in a different way. This is a reminder to all of us who are listening in and watching that fear looks different for everyone, but sharing it connects us all because it's still fear. It's just that it is manifesting in different forms. To Hatija and Teresa, your stories are deeply personal. How do you hope the book will connect with someone who's going through a completely different kind of fear that is not the same kind of fear you've written about in the book?
Okay, I think I can give it a go. Thank you very much, Celine. Wow, wow. From the responses and the feedback we're getting so far, wow. I can relate to what Agnes and Bill have said when it comes to, fear, facing fear while writing the book. But what I'll say is, look, fear wears many faces, but the emotions behind it are the same. Our stories are deeply personal, and they're stories that cuts across board, whether it's women, it's men. There are some cases where, one or two people have experienced the same thing. It's something that you will see. You will get to know that, oh, by the way, I've read this story, but I know someone who has gone through the same. So the lessons here, especially, the key pointers that we've touched on, Agnes has touched on the 3 C's. There's also something else that Hadija has touched on in her chapter. Bill has touched on one or two things. It's those ones for lessons are universal. It can cut across anything, whatever situation you're facing. And we show that fear doesn't have the final say. You can push through, you can rise above, and you can win. Now, the thing is, Agnes has talked about Wi Fi. I want to add in and talk about GPS. When you're there, like checking on your maps, you're on a certain application, wherever you're checking, how do I get to CBD? How do I get to Times Tower? If you go take a certain route, it's going to direct you based on that route. If you go turn left, it's going to direct you based on that. Whatever map you're using doesn't tell you, go back home. You're tired. You're on the wrong direction. You won't make it. You're on Wayaki way. And yet you're going to CBD. It's the same thing about life, is that in life, you will have to keep changing, keep navigating, keep restructuring yourself, keep thinking, pause, think, see, okay, how do I get to destination X? So you might have taken a different route. life might have thrown you, some very complicated cards, but you can still make it. So no matter what situation you're facing, this book just unlocks what strategies do you use, what have we used before that has been proven and tested, or what can you pick up just based on our own experiences. And it also challenges you. Stop playing small. There's this question on, are you playing to win or are you playing not to lose? Just take a moment and think about that, and it will really challenge you into how you approach life. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Teresia. As she has said, stop playing small. That is a powerful nugget. Can we have Hadija on?
Thank you, Teresa. That was powerful. I'm not sure even I can counter that. But just to build on what Teresa has shared, I think even in the chapter that I co-authored, which is chapter 8, how can women maximize execution by overcoming fear, I do talk about the same C's that Agnes had shared, which is giving yourself consent, finding the community that props up your confidence, and the third one that I talk about is consistency. And consistency builds a habitual routine of taking action. And I say this with a lot of confidence that if you keep showing up and if you keep taking these small steps into actually actualizing your own dreams, you will get there no matter how long that takes. And just to add on, I feel like women, even at the youngest age of, 12 or 13, young girls in high school, there are common fears that, can cut across our experiences. And one of them is fear of judgment. So based on where you come from, either the economic background that you have or the social or cultural background that you come from, there's a lot of criticism and these loud voices that distract us from our path. And for me, that was personally true, and I share that in my own story, is I come from a very conservative, traditional background. So for a young girl who was hijabi at that time, being raised in a small town in Mombasa, I always knew that I wanted to do something that was non-conventional for a woman. And I wondered whether politics would be it. But whenever I would have these conversations, either with friends at school or people in my family, they would think, no, that's a man's world. That's not a space for a woman. But even at a very small age, I was very sure that just because the rest of the people think so doesn't mean it has to be true for me. So the first thing is, how do you shift your mind from thinking that this is a path for everyone but not me, to saying that I'm going to try it even if I am the only one from this community that does it. That kind of conversation from a very young age really shaped how I faced life, head on, and later on made the brave decision to even study political science and then end up, working in parliament in Kenya. And even today, I still get the same questions like, how do you work, in a government institution? You come from this small town and you're hijabi looking. So I get the questions to date, and I want to be one of the, the pioneers of saying, women can have this space and they can come into these spaces and make a difference. So I hope by sharing my story in the book about talking about the fear of judgment, fear of criticism, fear of also falling short. I'm one person that holds myself to a very high standard, not necessarily because I'm obsessed with perfection, but I feel like so much was given to me, either through the mentors that I had, the teachers, the scholarship opportunities that I accessed. So I always feel like I need to make all these people proud and I need to give back to the community in one way or another. And by doing that, even co-authoring this book, I felt, have I put in everything that I want to put in out here? Have I done enough? Or am I doing enough at this moment? So that fear of also being enough or falling short of the expectations of people that, have either shaped your life or contributed to the successes that you've had. There's that fear as a woman. If I do decide that I'm getting married and I'm choosing to spend 2 years at home raising kids, will people judge me? Have I fallen short? So there's that aspect too. So I want to encourage women to have conversations with themselves and seek to get a lot of clarity about where they want to head in life, and to embrace that fear and say that every moment and every opportunity that presents itself will be embraced with a lot of courage and confidence, no matter the circumstance and no matter the outcome that will come out of it. So thank you so much, Celine, for this opportunity to share just a bit into that.
Thank you so much, Hadija. And I love what you said, that women should embrace the opportunities that we have. We should not conform ourselves to what the community has set upon us. We can do anything we set our minds on. And this not only goes for women, it also goes for the gentlemen in the house. And so, with that, I'd like to pose a question to our audience that is listening in. Do women and men experience fear differently? I would like you to put your answers in the chat box and see if yes, we do experience fear differently. How do you experience the fear differently? And if we experience fear in the same way, do we handle them differently? Kindly engage with me on that. And also, if you are picking up nuggets, insights from the conversation you're having, please share with them in the chat box so that we can know what you're doing is having an impact to you all. Okay? And I would like to take it deeper, beyond the book, because fear doesn't disappear overnight. It lingers sometimes in unexpected ways. I'd like to ask Agnes, looking back, throughout your journey while doing it afraid, what is one fear you still live with, even after writing this book on conquering fear and doing it afraid? What is that one fear you still live with, and how are you navigating it differently now that you know I can go through fear, I can conquer it?
Thank you, Celine. Fear shows up when you are at a verge of doing something new or something at a growth. So it shows, a different one will show at a different time of my life. So one thing that I still struggle with is, fear that still is present is that one for showing up. Public speaking, mostly public speaking. And this is, and it comes from how girls are raised up, how I grew up. And mostly women are always taking a back door, back bench. So there's this thing of you want to be invisible. Like even in school, in class, when the teacher asks for a question, you want to minimize yourself so that you're not picked. So that fear is a fear of being in the spotlight. It's something that I still work with. And how I navigate it differently is, and this is also something that I've also covered in my book, is continuously learning, looking for skills so that you boost your confidence. Because fear of showing up means you lack confidence. So confidence, you become confident when you master your craft, you are good at what you do, so showing up will not be a problem. So this fear of public speaking, another way that I'm working towards it is, I've joined Toastmasters Club so that I can practice as many speeches as possible and show up in meetings confident and be able to just speak. I take my time to also speak. At Toastmasters, there's this place for quick fire. You ask questions on the spot. And just also working with mentors. I'm big on mentorship. I believe mentors can really help you overcome some of these fears. So I have mentors at Toastmasters clubs. I also have mentor in life. I have life coaches. I also have an executive coach helping me professionally so that I can work on this. And my first speech at Toastmasters, I was the best speaker. It surprised me. So it gave me also confidence. So that is one thing that I'm still working on. And I'm seeing I'm working, it's bearing fruits. Yeah. So that is something that is still, even coming to this meeting was not easy. You remember coming to the meeting to show you are wondering, will you show up well? Will you be able to speak well? Will you be able to deliver those points? So that is something that is still present here with me, and this is something that I'm also facing. So yes, that is what I would say. Back to you, Celine.
Thank you so much, Agnes. I love that you said people tend to take the backseat in situations, more so at workplace, corporate places. You say, let me just sit in silence. I won't have someone asking me for this, or I won't have to do something that maybe I will embarrass myself. So I'll ask Teresi and Bilha. A lot of people wait to feel ready before they act. And as the saying goes, time waits for no man. If you dilly-dally, it won't wait for you, and the opportunities that are present would also wait for you. So how do you personally practice moving forward while doing it afraid? Because you can't say, let me get ready, let me get the courage, then I can do this, because probably the same opportunity or the same action you're supposed to take when you had the mindset to do so will not be present when you're ready to do so. Can you kindly guide us on how we can personally practice moving forward while doing it afraid?
Yeah, thank you very much, Celine. This is a very powerful one, and I'm really passionate about this because I live it day to day. I struggle every day, yet I have previous successes that you would imagine, oh goodness, you should rely on that. If you've done it before, see, you should be able to do it again. But fear doesn't see it that way. But what I do is, personally, I remind myself that regret is heavier than the fear. Oh, and I have seen it before. The opportunities that I have missed out on, and it haunts me to date. I try to tell myself, let it go. But it's painful, yeah, because I feared, and yet I could have done it if only I had the courage to. So I tell myself, just plunge in. I ask myself, what's the worst that can happen? No one was born knowing a couple of things. Like sometimes when things are hard, especially say even in the workplace perspective, I'm trying to get this done. It's challenging. You're trying to structure a deal. You don't know how to. But I tell myself, no one was born in this organization. No one was born knowing calculus, right? So we all start somewhere. So instead of overthinking, I say yes. Take the first step and then embrace the journey. And I'll give you a very perfect example is even coming to write up this book. When I was approached to do so, there were so many thoughts that came to my mind. I was scared. I was wondering, okay, first, I have never put together a book. I'm not an author. So how will I get this done? But I told myself, remember, you limit yourself often when you start thinking like that. So say yes, then you're going to figure it out later. And that is exactly what I did. I said, oh, yes, I am willing to do this. Perfect. Then I started working out the fear bit by bit. It started being like, okay, so what do I talk about? So how do I start? What women do I give stories about? What will be my own journey? What will I put out there? Again, there's that vulnerability of what information can I put out there? Will people judge me and all that? But then I realized one thing, that you are enough. That opportunity has already seen that I am enough. Now I should believe that too. And that's where the superpower is that I should believe already the opportunity has come, meaning someone has seen something in me. So I should not be discouraging myself. I should actually encourage myself to move forward. So that is important. And then how you see yourself, self-image, trying to, to structure, because look, you can't outperform your self-image. If you're really looking down on yourself, you keep looking down on yourself, then it is very difficult to pick yourself up. But once you start reframing your mind, you continuously look at, and I always try to write, have a book where I write, okay, today someone has complimented me on this. So this is my achievement. Oh, so at least I've done well. Next, a book of achievements. And I saw, one of the co-authors also write this as well, which I really appreciated, is that once you do that, then you go back and read through and see, oh, So I'm actually not doing too bad. It means then I can be able to do it. So that is it for me. Plunge in. What is the worst that can happen? Bilha?
As she has said, plunge in. What is the worst that can happen? If you're plunging in water, you'll just get wet unless you don't know how to swim. You'll drown. But if you do, you'll just get wet. I have a few of you sharing nuggets that you're picking up as we continue with our conversation. Mr. Dosso says regret is heavier than fear, which goes hand in hand with plunging in. What will happen? Rather do it and know what will happen than not do it and say, I wish I would. And Joshua Gitoho says, my mantra nowadays is feel the fear but do it anyway, which also is in line with what you're just saying. Regret is heavier than fear. Do it anyway. So he says his approach is using the fear to drive him, which is a good thing. Use the fear to drive you, not let the fear to act as a roadblock at what you're doing. Sarah says you are enough, which is true. Value yourself, you're enough, and the way you see yourself is very important. And I had also put up a question. I said, do men and women experience fear differently? If you say yes, please follow up with how they experience fear differently. And if you say no, you can also back up with why you feel that we experience fear the same as men and women. Okay, thank you. We also have other comments are saying, Josephine says you'll drown or learn to swim. Like I said, you either drown, get wet, or you learn to swim so that you don't drown and die. Because no one, in our previous session, in our first session, we had said no one is coming to save you. You have to save yourself. So you have to learn to swim. You have to learn to ride the waves of the waters. Mibo says saying yes first, then figuring it out, which is true. Say yes, then you say, I'll have to learn how to do this. I'll have to learn how to work my way through this situation. Florence says, plunge in. If we succeed, well and good. Should we fail, we just learn another way, how not to do it. Either way, do it. This is so powerful. If you fail, you should not be afraid of failure. If you fail, you have a lessons you're picking up on. Then I know I will not do this and this next time. But if you succeed, well and good, you've achieved what you wanted. Ability says say yes, then go figure it out, which reiterates what Mibo says. Thank you so much for engaging with me on that. And as we continue this conversation, continue putting in the insights and the nuggets that you are picking up from this conversation, so that way we'll know we are interacting with you all. And Bilha, I had directed the same question of how do you personally practice moving forward, because I feel you're one person who moves forward when you need to, from starting work to going to another place to doing a startup and then now choosing to take another path in career. Kindly take us through the process of moving forward while doing it afraid.
Okay, thank you, Celine. So how do I practice moving forward afraid?
Yeah.
I think for me, it's a lot more focused on progress rather than perfection. So I set small actions that move me forward, even if I don't feel fully ready. So from my chapter in the book, I had mentioned the 2 times I have changed roles, or 2 of the times I had changed jobs. I always felt inadequate. So at first, I was my first job, I worked there for about 6.5 years. And then I was headhunted to move to NCBA. And what was expected of me was too huge, in my opinion. And I think one of the things I said is, you've looked for me because you are bankers and you're looking for someone who has experience in platforms or marketplaces. So what I know, you don't know. And that just made me get into the first step of saying, okay, you are bankers, you're experienced and experts in that field. You want to bring some sort of technology. And I have 6.5 years of experience in that sector. So first thing I do, let me move in. So that's the first level of progress. So I may not be perfect, or there's no perfection in that, because now you're responsible for a new solution, and it's success and failure falls on you, and it feels like it's quite huge for you to handle. But being able to say, first thing I've done is, I'll move here because of that difference. And then now being able to learn while on the job. So just setting small actions move me forward. So my other example here is I've come up very well in my career. There's no job I had ever applied for. And I was headhunted to NCP. Then after that, again, I was headhunted to go and found or start Phototech. And then this challenging phase, can you hear me? Sorry, I hope you haven't lost me. Okay.
We can hear you.
Excellent. Then this challenging part of my my life phase came through, and I had to lose my source of income while navigating motherhood as a single mom. So going back to work came with its set of challenges. Now you have to be the one to look out for the jobs. You have to be the one to convince employers why they need to hire you. And unfortunately, in our market, even a career break, an intentional career break, is not very common. You almost have to explain why there's a gap, even if you have stated clearly that I needed time to. I've worked for 10 years or 15 years and I need to rest. So you have to keep answering all those questions around why did you leave your last place of work? And it was very tough for me. So the first step there for me was to get back into the job market. Will you get your ideal job? No. But what do? Take what it is that comes. At least you're back into the market. And also that phase is also very tough because you, as opposed to when you're moving from another job, now you're moving from no income to somebody that is offering you a job, and your bargaining power is actually lower. Because if you're already employed, then you can say, I'm not moving until you do 30% on top of my current pay. So even the boldness and the confidence to get into those interview rooms and negotiate with strength and boldness is not that easy. So you may not get back to your ideal job or where you are, but focus on progress, not perfection. So that to me has been my mantra. Instead of waiting for that ideal or perfect job, which I think is something I'd also mentioned in my chapter, to those who are fresh from college, where I did become marketing and I'm not taking any other job that's not in marketing. That's not how it works in our market, unfortunately. You have to do that, take that first step, and then have your career in a way that in the direction that you want it to take. So I think for me, that would be how I summarize it. I focus on progress and not perfection by setting small actions that move me forward. Even when I feel I'm not ready for it, even when I feel like it's not the ideal place where I need to be, but at least there's progress. So that's what I would say, Celine.
Thank you so much, Bilha. As she said, focus on progress, not perfection, because we previously said that perfection is one way of masking fear. It presents itself. You have to be perfect to do this, but focus on how you're moving and how you're growing yourself. And that I feel needs confidence. Hadija has talked about confidence in the book a lot. And when fear comes from people close to you, this goes to Hadija. like family, friends, and community discourage? How do you push past that? And as a 10-time scholarship academic winner, you have the brains. How did you not let this tie you down to what they expected of you? And how did your confidence guide you through that? How did you know that I wanted this and I cannot let these people who are close to me, these people who are surrounding my family and who are my friends, will not tie me down to what I am made for?
Thank you, Celine. I think that's a very important question. Personally, for me, I think the voices, especially for voices of criticism that come from very closed family members or community elders, neighbors, and I've always looked at it from a point of, are they living better lives, you know? If it came from somebody who was speaking from a point of authority, they've led successful lives, they're running businesses, then I felt maybe what they are projecting to me as fear, maybe there's a lesson carved in it. But if it came from someone that has no clue of what they're doing in their lives, has no anticipation or, of moving beyond their comfort zones and embracing fear and accessing bold opportunities, I felt they didn't have authority to tell me how I was going to make my decisions. So from a very young age, and I think I got that from my father, and I credit that to my father even in my chapter. For him, he was always questioned about, was he sure that he wanted girls, in his family to go to high school? Eventually, they would end up getting married. So what was the point? And for my father, he wanted something better, not only for us, but also for him and the family. And the only way, he had 4 girls. So the bet was all on all of us. We had to, to pursue education because it was the only route out of, the confinements of our cultures, of our traditions, and all that comes with that. So eventually, I would say, even when you are overwhelmed and bombarded with a lot of criticism from people in your community or people close to you, if they are living better lives, if they are brave, bold, and audacious in making their own decisions, then they have sort of an authority to tell you, about fear and what you can do and what you can't do. But if they're not leading better lives, not in terms of, either education, career-wise, then I don't feel like that's something you need to be listening to. You need to find your own community of people that prop up your own confidence, the ones that support you and tell you this is a path that you must take because you need to, you need to be different, and you need to open that door for other young girls from your community to be able to walk in and follow. Yeah. So I talk about that as well. And even for me, I would want to place it the time that I left Kenya to move to Turkey, which is 3,000 miles away, and jumping onto a plane with no family with you, and then going into a country that doesn't even speak English. For me, I had an understanding that I had to learn Turkish for a year before I could even start my studies. So all the pressure that came with that, and the understanding that you're now all alone in this new field, there's no one to sort of consult with or to lean on, you're just by yourself. I think that also built a lot of resilience and also grew my confidence because I had no one to rely on apart from myself. And when I talk about that, I talk about the possibilities that open up when you choose that, path that is not walked on by a lot of people. So it may appear quite tricky. It may be very uncertain, but it's a road that you must take if you want to, if you want to do better, and if you want a life that is different from what you're familiar with.
Thank you so much, Hadija. As she said, make sure to have a community that instills confidence in you. Do not listen to people that are not living towards maybe you're aiming for or you're heading towards. Look to someone that is doing what you want to do, aspire to do. And also, if you are facing if you face yourself in a situation that you are out there alone in the world, trust in yourself, trust in your confidence, and trust in your work. because she did leave the country when she was very young, at 20. Most of us are still being coddled by our parents, but she took the step and went 3,000 miles away, and she conquered. For the question that I posed before, how does if fear presents differently for men and women? Bill has said yes, for women, fear is often tied to judgment, safety, and balancing roles. We fear being overlooked, dismissed, or penalized for choices like pursuing leadership, negotiating pay, or even motherhood. For men, fear often shows up around failure, vulnerability, and societal expectations. Men are pressured to be strong, to provide, and never to show weakness. And the difference is women are often allowed to express fear, but judged for it, while men are often not allowed uh, to express fear at all. Both suffer in different ways. And I concur with what Bill has said. Fear shows up because what we have around us, what we are allowed to express. The societal expectations around men and women are a bit different, but Doing It Afraid tells you that you can pursue leadership as a woman, you can juggle a motherhood and your profession, you can negotiate your pay because you're doing the same work as someone else. Why should he or her be paid higher than you? And you're doing the same thing. And for men, we also Doing It Afraid also says that you are allowed to not be strong at at some point in time. You're not allowed to be strong. You're not allowed to always have it together. You're allowed to feel the emotions, and that is the essence of Doing It Afraid. Vivian says, I think men and women experience the same fears, but the difference is in the response. And I want to peg that to hormones and societal expectations, which reiterates the last comment that Bill has is women are allowed to express fear, but we are judged for it. You come out saying this and that they will judge you, and the men are not expected to express it at all. So let us conquer these societal expectations and do it afraid from both ends. Wanjiku says, as women have more fears related to personal safety, relationships, or social rejection, while men have fears related to loss of status or failure, which I believe still reiterates the comment from Vivian and Belham. Thank you guys for engaging with me on this. And if any of you still has nuggets or things to say about the question that I have posed, whether on Zoom or on YouTube, you are free to put down your comment and your chat in the chat box. Yes. And I would like us to discuss fear in decision making. Most times we do not get to decide when fear grabs us, when it comes. And I would love us to discuss about fear in moments where decisions matter, when opportunities come, and fear tries to disguise itself as wisdom. In this journey of Doing It Afraid, we may encounter a few bumps and not end up getting the result we hoped for. Teresia states in the book that each failure teaches a vital lesson, and this is something many people fear. Failure is something many people fear deeply. We fear to fail, often avoiding taking risk because of the fear of failure. Then this question goes to Hadija and Teresia, and Hadija will start. Have there been moments where failure or not getting your desired end goal, gave you clarity or strength than not trying at all? Kindly. We will start with Hadija.
Celine, could you please come again?
I said we fear failure, and this is something that prevents us from taking risks because we do not want to fail. So I asked, have there been moments in your journey while doing it afraid, well, you did do something and ended up not getting your end goal, what you had aspired to do, and that gave you clarity and strength rather than not trying at all?
Oh, absolutely. I can actually think about two different encounters. And one particularly was, I'm a very passionate social justice advocate. So there was a time when I was in Turkey and I was working with Syrian refugees in Istanbul. And I'm an empath as well. So I've always felt that, I'm moved to do more than I'm able to do. And I've always put myself in spaces where, I feel like I need to save people from their circumstances. And sometimes I know that I don't have the capacity to do that, but I do it anyway. And the first time that I tried that, and the government of Turkey had put a very big restriction on where the refugees had to be situated in the city. And I wanted to move them actually from where they were. And that backfired on me big time. So I think, although I felt that I wanted to help, I didn't have the capacity to help then. So I might as well have left that than, just attract all the negative consequences that, came from me trying to help. So there's that a bit. And the second time, I think there's a position that I eyed, with the girls, not brides, which I felt was a very big position, but I said I'll apply anyway. And I did get into the interview rooms. But even although I did get into the second interview, I knew I didn't have the 10 years experience that they were looking for. So that was, I think, I wasted the time for the interviewers and I wasted the time for myself, which I shouldn't have. So I think also part of it comes from, yes, you might be confident, you might position yourself well, but you also need to look at what you're doing and the repercussions of the things that you're doing. And sometimes doing it afraid doesn't necessarily mean you're going to, be successful in that. It might be only a lesson that you learn from, and then you need to align yourself now better for future positions and future spaces where you can actually do more and be more impactful.
Thank you so much, Hadija, for that. She said doing it afraid doesn't necessarily assure that you'll be successful in what you're doing, but you might get lessons. You'll get a cent or two on what you're supposed to do better next time. And for Teresia, with still the same statement that you wrote in the book, each failure teaches a vital lesson. What are the lessons that failures you have experienced have taught you while doing it afraid? Okay. Well, for I myself, I believe that like Hadija says, failure teaches you on first learn
Hello.
how to do better days. Learn how to do better and prepare yourself for this before just plunging in and doing it afraid. Like we say, do not plunge in without swimming, without knowing how to swim. Learn how to swim, then plunge in. Yes, and with that, I believe Teresi is ready.
Yes, I am, and sorry about that. I had to change locations a bit. Yeah. Yeah, but wonderful. So for me, I'll say yes, I have had a moment like that. And essentially, it is where thinking back, I shouldn't have spoken when I did. So basically, what happened is that I was frustrated by a process, and then I decided that I would be the one to relay this information, as most of my colleagues felt the same way. And, I felt that they had much to lose, and that is why, they weren't speaking up. But for me, at that time, I was an intern, and then I had a great rapport with the senior leader in our team. And I felt like, of course, now I'll be the one to share this. Everyone is frustrated, and we can't keep going on like this. And then the feedback was now for another team that we had worked closely but wasn't being responsive enough. It didn't seem to be motivated to quickly execute on what we were meant to do for our clients, and hence it had an impact on the business. So I decided to walk up to this other senior leader leading this inefficient team and provided unfiltered, not unprofessional, but still unfiltered feedback about this team. So he can help us to change their mindset and to turn up their approach. It didn't go well. Well, this senior leader was graceful, at least. When I think back and look at it, I feel like, it was graceful, but I realized that that approach caused a lot of friction, not only for me, but for me and him, but also for our team and his team, including now the senior leader in our team. And in hindsight, I should have used some wisdom to appreciate that whilst being fearless may be good, strategy is key. So I probably should have approached my senior leader and, expressed, what was happening in this case, and advice. Probably we could have a conversation with the counterpart, and of course that conversation would have come out differently. And in that process, they will be able to articulate the change and suggest solutions in a more structured and helpful way, as opposed to looking as though it's finger pointing. Yeah. So though the team was not meeting the expectations, I realized that in the corporate world, there's a way to see things and not to see things. Doing this probably embarrassed the senior leader that I was speaking to, and probably put him in a position that felt uncomfortable, showing that, there's an underperforming team. And so it shows some lack of disregard of his leadership, or probably some lack of confidence. So today, I know it's good to be fearless, but it has to walk hand in hand with wisdom. There is a way to do things. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much, Teresia. We have a comment from YouTube. MNP says, plunging, what is the worst can happen, which is powerful and reiterates what some of you have said. We have Boss James in the meeting. He had raised his hand. I believe he would have a comment or a question. Yes. Hi. Could you kindly, we can't hear you. Could you kindly move your mic a bit closer so that we can get what you're saying very clear? Thank you. Not really.
Can you hear me now?
I believe, yes. No, not really. Boss, could you, if we can't hear you, could you kindly type your question, and if you're ready, you could just set up your mic, and then I'll still allow you to ask the question in person. But if you can, you could also type what you want to say. When you're ready, you just raise your hand and I will see it. Thank you. We move on. Choosing courage over hesitation, discomfort over security, and progress over stagnation. These are the words of our lovely Agnes. Agnes, leadership often requires making tough calls, especially when guiding and advising people in management. Boss, in a minute. Thank you. Agnes, can you share a time when you had to do it afraid in leadership, perhaps making a decision despite fear or resistance from people around you, and what that experience taught you about leading with courage?
Thank you, Celine. That would be a broad question because my whole chapter is about the examples of leadership with courage. Before I plunge into it, I just want to say Shout out to my community that have joined here. Doing It Afraid requires community support. And I want to say thank you to people from GC, from my former employer, they're here, my longtime friends, and all my friends and family who've joined in. You are my family working with me in this Dear Afraid Do It Afraid journey, and I appreciate all of you who are here to see me do my first live webinar. I'm so thankful and I value your presence. Okay, leadership and making decisions and being afraid, that is something that every leader has to do. Every decision that you make, there is a fear lacking that you could fail into it. And there's also mostly the fear of failure engraved into it. So it's a two-pronged way of decision making. Once we do the decisions with risks at the back of our mind, and those risks are what that also partly feed into our fears, that if these risks materialize, then we are bound to fail. So I've had, in my leadership journey, I've had to make decisions, some that worked well and some that did not work well. And in both, there are lessons that I learned in making decisions as a leader. Failures, let me start with failures. Failures gave me lessons that you can't learn from success. And just like the previous speakers have spoken about it, failure, I get it to give me opportunity to learn another way of not doing this thing. Yeah, so I will stick to what the other speakers have said about failure. To me, it's a learning board, gives you what not to do next time. Success also gives you also a learning board, carrying forward lessons that you could use in other similar decisions in future. As I was introducing myself, I said how I've worked with organizations in transitions, building afresh or upscaling. So carrying lessons from success from what worked to the next. So generally what I do for leadership and decision making is first you plunge. You plunge in, just like what the other people have said. Failing to make a decision is worse than not making any. It's like Alice in Wonderland. If you stand in the middle of the road, if you don't move, you will be knocked. So when in decision making, there must be action. Action, whether you fear or whether you are confident. Action, taking action is better than not taking. Standing in the middle of the road like Alice in Wonderland, wondering where the roads are taking you, you will be knocked by a car. The safest decision to do is to take any road. If you are Alice and there are so many, let's say you're in the thicker superhighway, take any road. And just like the example that Teresia gave of a map, that road, as you move along, you will find your way. So in decision making, what I would say, plunging. Look at the risks that are involved, put in measures that you will mitigate, and move. And mostly also work with your gut. Your gut feelings also tells you, don't ignore your gut feeling also. As you are fearful, but also your gut will tell you. Sometimes when you are being so cautious, your gut will also tell you. So listen to your gut. Those who are Christians will talk of discernment. Discernment. What is your spirit telling you? And those who are spiritual will also take your time to listen deeply to nature. take a walk in nature. When you have to make key decisions, take a walk in nature. Sit under the tree and think about it over and over. And in that moment, you will get an answer back to what you are working. So that is how I've navigated. The key is make the decision. Don't fail to make a decision. That is what I have navigated fear with. Then you will deal with the consequences. If it was a good one, we celebrate. If it was not the right decision, we have lessons that we have learned. So I'll stop at that.
Thank you so much, Agnes. As she has said, make the decision, and what comes after, whether it is lessons or success, you will deal with it. Make the decision. That is so very powerful. And Belha, this is for you. You stated in the book that opportunities should align with long-term goals, not just immediate financial gain. And this is after an opportunity that will pay you 3 times what you're earning then. So in pursuing big goals, as people navigating through life, how do you decide which fears are worth confronting and which ones should you pivot or pause and reassess?
Okay, thank you, Celine. When that excerpt that you picked from my chapter was at a time when I had just finished campus and I had gotten this job that was paying me what I said, around 15,000 shillings. And at that time, what I had done is I had cleared my my degree in Bachelor of Commerce Marketing, but I was still doing my CPAs on the side. And I've gotten into the job market, and thankfully, the job came before my graduation. So at the point where we were graduating, my name was proposed. So the person that chaired the graduation was the CEO of Equity Bank, and he gave 10 job opportunities. I mean, opportunities to 10 graduates. And my name was pushed forward or put forward by one of my lecturers. And at that time, I was working at Cheki, my first job. So it was a decision between 15,000 shillings and 50,000 shillings. But it's 15,000 shillings with liberty to pursue or continue with my accounting classes, or 50,000 shillings where you're working Monday to Saturday with a very strained schedule. And of course, if you, and remember, this is then, you know, some people will think money first, let me run. But for me, what was a priority at that time was, how do I still balance this little pay, but be able to complete my CPA because of the future goal that I had? Do I suspend my education and go for this job, or what do I do? So, and this kind of situation has come up a couple of times in terms of like, which ones do you, so the question here is around which fear do you confront and which one do you pivot? And for me, I ask myself, in terms of growth and decision making, is this fear stretching me towards growth, or is it actually signaling real danger? So if it's a growth-related fear, then that is worth confronting. But any fear that is tied to misalignment or lost values often means it's time to pivot that, or pivot, depending on which school you went to. And so for me, at this point in time where you're debating between fear and healthy caution, I would say that what is cautious, or what I would define caution, is something that has logic behind it. Whereas on the other side, fear is just noise. So if I can back up a decision here with facts and strategy and alignment to my goals, then that is caution. And in that case, you can proceed, but with caution. If it's just, what if this happens, then that's fear. Another perfect example is my transition from a tier 1 bank in the heart of COVID in 2020 to move and build a company ground up. And when I say ground up, I mean from incorporating the company to looking for an office to hiring people in the heart of COVID. And for me, my logic at the time was this: if this opportunity that has come gives me experience around managing a bigger team, being in charge of P&L, thinking about strategy, etc., which would have required me to stay at the bank for like another 10 years to be able to have the same sort of experience. So if I was to stay at NCBA, which was my employer at the time, at the level where I was, for me to get to the point where I'm managing X number of people and I'm in charge of P&L and strategy and giving business, it would take me another 10 years or so. But now here's an opportunity that I'll jump ship. Of course, I had to do, like we said, it has to be strategic. So you also have to think about how much are you going to ask in terms of compensation, and cushion yourself so that at that point in time, the noise I was hearing, and I'm saying noise because it could have been caution from those who were concerned, my family and friends, was around how do you leave a company that has not fired you, and you know what happened in the heart of COVID, many people lost their income, to go and look for an office and set up an organization from scratch. So if I took that sort of advice, it was full of what ifs, because it's what if it doesn't take off in 6 months? What if, they shut down? What do you do? Are you going to go back to Soko and start looking for another opportunity? But once you have structured it, you've backed it up with facts. This is my goal. This is where I intend to achieve. I have cushioned myself financially as well in terms of how much are you putting aside in savings, or how much in terms of compensation from this employer who is asking you to take such a huge risk. If you've cushioned yourself, by all means, proceed. Caution has logic behind it. Fear is just noise.
Thank you so much, Bilha. I'll go ahead and read some of the comments in the chat box. Victoria says the gut feeling is underrated. People want evidence, but with your gut, there is no evidence. You just know. And this is in regards to what Agnes was talking about. Always trust your gut feeling, because it may be more right more times than many. Purity says make the decision. As Agnes said, make the decision. What will come after, you will deal with it. Susan says, I am loving today's conversation. It's very relatable, especially now as I am preparing to step up in my career into leadership. These ladies are powerful and very inspiring. I love them. We also love them, Susan. And I am so glad that you're feeling inspired, and I wish you success as you step up into your career. Ibo says in decision making, you have to take action either way. And this is something that has been said from the beginning of the session. Take action either way. Do it afraid. Fear should not consume you. And Jackie says, fear, face everything and rise. That is nice. Face everything and rise. Or forget everything and run. Kudos, Bilha. Tricia says, powerful Bilha, take calculated risks. Fear is just noise. And as Bilha says, do not look at what ifs. Don't use what if this happens, what if this happens. If you have calculated and seen that you have something backing up, facts and numbers backing up the decision you want to take, or that step you want to take, do it, because fear is just noise trying to dissuade you from what you want to do. Philemon Dado says, "Thanks, Bilha. That's powerful. I like your examples in driving the point home. Thank you so much." And I'll go back to Boss James. He says he's ready for his question. I'll kindly like to invite you and ask you question or comments.
Okay. Hi. Can you hear
Hi.
me now?
Yes, we can.
Thank you so much. Both James is my name, and I want to give shout outs to GC family and Bilha. Thank you so much for breaking that into small pieces that anyone can consume. Now, for me, when I talk about fear or do it afraid, it's more about um, where you're celebrated or where you are tolerated. And I want to give an example. At some point, I used to work for an organization that I think that is just after the post election. And I was hired and I was earning about 170,000. But the demand was so much. And I remember the children were still young. And I used to work from Monday to Saturday, 4 in the evening. And that is in Nairobi. By the time you reach home, it's 10 at night. That is, you guys who live in Nairobi, you know about the traffic jam. And you have to leave early as 5:30 to beat the traffic jam to be in the office. And one day I sat down and I thought, no, enough is enough. I'm not going to starve. With the expertise I carry, I know somehow, somewhere out there, I get something going. So I tendered in my resignation when I was still like 1.5 years away from end of contract. I was just tired. I couldn't see my children. The only day I had was Sunday. And by that time, I was a very ardent believer in church. So we go to church and come back at 4 in the evening. So you spend no time with your family. I hope you can hear me. And so I took the risk, and you should have seen the war I had to fight at home with my partner. Oh, you're quitting that job. How will we pay rent? How will we feed? How blah, 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 blah. 170 is a lot of money. But for me, I was looking at myself, my health. I was overworking. I couldn't spend time with the family. And for me, family at that point was very important. I remember my firstborn by then was just in class 4. And I thought, and I quit. But she made noise, but I didn't bother. Somehow, what Bill is saying is true. Calculated move is very, very, very important. Somehow, I had built a network that I knew very well that I wouldn't stay in that house for 2 weeks before someone calls me. Now, another calculated move I had is I didn't want employment again. The 8 to 5 clock was just out of me. And true to my word, in 2 weeks' time, I get a call up for a consultancy. And the consultancy was just taking 14 days. That is half the month. And I was taking home 420,000. I mean, that is like 2.5 months worth of pay in 2 weeks. So one of the greatest lessons I learned is that when you believe in yourself, and when you know that I'm not being celebrated where I am, then fear runs away from you. And it is a deliberate decision that you have to make, that this fear, I have to confront it, because unless you face it head on, you may never put it behind you. So for me, Do It Afraid is real time, because it is very practical and relevant and timely. And that is what strikes me with Do It Afraid. It is our day-to-day life thing. A week ago, I think, is it a week ago, 2 weeks ago, a doctor stands up. I had gone to do some tests, and these tests are done, and the doctor stands up and says, you are going to have to do what? To up your premium, because at your age, you are likely to have diabetes, And we are looking at our system, and your liver and your kidney is almost gone because of your drinking. Now, trust you me, I don't do alcohol. I'm a GC Damu. I don't do alcohol. In GC, we don't do alcohol. We do fruits. And I exercise. I am healthy. So what is this guy telling me? And this is a very renowned doctor. So you see, if you are afraid, you will think twice and say, what? I insisted. I told the doctor, listen, your results are wrong. Please do some more. And he dismissed me and said, for all the years I've been a doctor, wewe kijana mdogo unataka kuniambia I don't know what I'm doing. I said, exactly. You have no idea what you're talking about. I know myself. And I know that my liver is up to date, my kidney is up to date, and I don't do alcohol. When we did the next report, it outruled his. Now you had two reports that are tying on each other. So fear was sold to me that with the company, the insurance company sold me fear that, oh, you know, the premiums are just a few coins above. But you see that a few coins above, if I dropped them in a tin, in a year's time, they make a lot of money. So I insisted that I want a tiebreaker. When a tiebreaker was done, it was even better than the original, than the second report that dismissed the first report. So sometimes doing it afraid is being also able to be confident and believe in who you are. Very practical, relevant, and timely. Thank you.
Thank you so much, boss. I believe we all have had this is a real life experience on doing it afraid, and he says it is our daily experiences that will ascertain if we're doing it afraid. And with that, I'll just like to continue to Hadija and talk about how many people struggle with feeling undervalued or underappreciated, and as boss said, overworked, not having time for your family, mostly in the work environment, which can make them doubt their worth. In the spirit of doing it afraid, and as an individual who practices confidence as an everyday routine, you have stated that in the book. How have you navigated moments when you knew you deserved more, whether in pay, recognition, or opportunity, and how did the authenticity in you play in standing up for your true value?
Thank you, Celine, and thank you, boss, for that wonderful, wonderful story. You know, it was very practical, and we've picked a few lessons there. I'm even suggesting that he co-authors the next book. And now back to you, Celine, to your question. I would talk about a particular story that I mentioned in the book, where when I came back to the country and I had an opportunity to get a job, the first offer that I got was a third of what the predecessor was getting paid for, and he was male. So I assumed at first glance that I was being, cut short, basically because I'm a woman. And I didn't want to act desperate, although I knew I needed the money. I was just, I'm a new graduate. I've come back to the country. All savings are gone. Whatever we saved from Turkey, we're starting all afresh. And I would have jumped at that opportunity and said yes. They actually offered me around 35,000, if I remember well. And I decided to say no. So basically, very respectfully, I said, there's no way I'm accepting that. That's a stipend, for a graduate student. And I already had my master's degree then. And I walked away. So when I was actually leaving the country to go attend a seminar in Italy, I got a call from HR, and they said they had reconsidered and they were offering triple the salary. It was quite shocking to me because I having been for so many years in the academic space, you don't think much about, the employment industry and what people get, how they're sold short, how women, experience employment, how they negotiate salaries. And then all of a sudden it was a very different kind of experience for me. I felt I was undervalued. especially because I knew that if you're having a master's degree by then, it would, at least weigh something on the scale, especially for the job that I was applying for. So yeah, I was happy to have said no. I walked away, and then only to come back 2 weeks later, back in the same job with the same payment that, the predecessor had left with. But then I feel if I had jumped and said yes in the beginning and I would have walked away with 35K and probably lasted a couple of years taking that salary home and never knowing what, would have been my worth then. So I think confidence plays a very important role, especially for women. Know your value, know what you bring to the table, the experiences you have, even if they are volunteer opportunities, especially I say this to graduate students. Everything you've done, whether it's internships, it's just volunteering opportunities in different organizations, all that, if you count it, it is experience, and you've learned something along the way that you can share and give value to the organization that you're applying to. So be confident, know your staff, especially when you're walking into an interview room, and be ready, to negotiate salary based on your experiences, on what value you can give.
Thank you so much, Hadija. As she said, be confident, and confidence is what she practices every day. She has 3 C's. You will get to read them in the book. I want us to ground this in something practical as we wind up, because Doing It Afraid is as much about mindset and spirit as it is about action. This is to all of you ladies and the audience. You can put your answers in the chat box. How does faith, prayer, belief, or mindset help all of us when we get gripped with fear, but we still need to act? What role does our beliefs, does our faith and our mindset play when we have fear within us? Engage with me on this. Share your responses in the chat box as we wind down. And if you have any questions, you can also drop them in the chat box. This is for all of you ladies. We can start with Teresia, then Agnes, then Bilha, then close with Hadija.
Okay, thank you very much. For me, faith is my foundation. Yeah. And prayer calms my heart, it renews my strength, and it shifts my mindset from fear to focus. When your mind and your spirit must be anchored so that you can face fear head on. And for me, I have to be grounded in faith in my mind for me to achieve anything. So when it's all said and done, our spiritual life plays the greatest part in how we face life and its challenges, and in turn, how we face fear. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Teresia. We can have Agnes.
Thank you, Celine. I touched briefly about my spirituality, and I would say that being grounded and connected to my source, the source of life, the higher self, really plays a big role in facing fear, and just being grounded and being one with nature, with Mungu, with God, really grounds me and calms me down to face fears head on. So yes, that's what I would say.
Thank you, Agnes. Bilha.
Okay. So for me, my faith and prayer are my anchor. So whenever fear creeps in, I remind myself that God goes before me, and that gives me the courage to act, even when I feel uncertain. Looking back, every step from my very first job after campus to my current role, I would just say everything has just been ordered by God's hand. I'm a Christian. There's a scripture that tells me that the Lord makes firm the steps of those who delight in him. So yeah.
Thank you for that verse. We can have Hadija.
You're on mute, Hadija.
Oh, sorry
She's
about that. Similar to my co-authors, for me as well, faith is such a huge part of my daily life, and it anchors me as well. Just as Bilham mentioned, I feel in our belief system or in Islam, we say that God doesn't give you a burden that you cannot bear. So everything that He has given you, He has given you in proportion, knowing that you can bear that. And so when fear comes to you, you have to remind yourself that that opportunity that came to you was actually delivered to you by God Himself, because He knows that it's an opportunity for you and it wouldn't miss you otherwise. So I feel like even the times that I got rejections, the times that things didn't work out, everything has been orchestrated by God Himself. So you have to embrace that and say that was not meant for you, and to follow the opportunity that has actually come your way and God has blessed you with, and you work on that and build on that.
Thank you so much, Hadija. As the saying goes, what is meant for you will find you, and what is not yours will just leave. Yes, and there you have it, everyone. Thank you so much, ladies, for engaging openly with us. And it is clear that this topic of doing it afraid shapes our lives, careers, and as Boss said, it is something we should practice in our day-to-day life, in our decisions from the little to the big ones. And this is not the last webinar we are going to have. If you're still interested in this topic, we have our last webinar on the 28th of August next week, 2 days before our launch. And we'd also love for you all in the audience to be part of the official book launch happening on the 30th of August at Trademark Suits Enaki. I have shared a registration link with you all. If you are interested, you can sign up. And the launch will be celebration of courage, resilience, and choosing to act even when fear is loud. And if you are interested to get a copy of the book and go through the content and the nuggets and insights from our beautiful authors, I've also shared a second link on how you can get a copy of the book, and you'll have it delivered to you. Let us just not talk about doing it afraid. Let's live in it. And I can't wait to see you at the launch, book in hand, ready to step into the next stage. And with this, I'd like to kindly request our beautiful authors, all four of you, to invite our audience and your networks to the launch. Tell them what they're in for, tell them what they're going to experience just briefly, so they know they're going to experience you on that day. You can start with the Bella because your mic and your video is already on.
Okay, thank you, Celine. So, no, thanks for joining this webinar today. It's been amazing. I have also learned a lot. I think the next thing would just to welcome all of you on the 30th of this month, next Saturday, actually, from 2 p.m. So definitely, I'm sure, I mean, how you got to know about this, there's a poster somewhere. So we'll keep those communications flowing in terms of like venue and a countdown reminder as the day approaches. I think for me, just one last practical step I would give is break fear into small steps. Take one small action today. If it's that phone call, make that phone call. If it's sending that proposal, send that proposal. Ask for that meeting. Make very small steps, and that action shrinks fear. So I'm looking forward to seeing you next Saturday.
Thank you so much, Belha. We can have Teresia.
Yes. Thank you. So for me, I would say, similar to what Bill has mentioned, is that don't wait for that big leap. Courage is built one step at a time. So, like how you learn to swim, you don't start from the deep end. So, just get those toes in the water, one step at a time, and you will build up to something great. Thank you very much for staying on, listening in, contributing quite well. We truly appreciate you taking the time to listen to this, and we look forward to you getting a copy of the book and sharing with us your feedback, connecting with us separately, and also we do once again welcome you to the launch. Asanteni sana.
Thank you so much, Bilha. We can have Adija and Agnes will close us out.
Yes, thank you everyone who has joined us today and listened in. It's been such an impactful snippet into the book itself. We've had wonderful discussions. Thank you for everybody who's been able to comment in the chat. And Celine, you've done an incredible job of responding to each of the comments that are there. I want to say, if you want to grab a copy and get, your own copy of all these remarkable stories that have been shared here by all these wonderful authors, please do so. Please pre-order your copy. We welcome you to the launch. It's going to be an exciting opportunity to not only familiarize yourself with the authors, but to also get an understanding of the topic itself and much bigger lessons. And I think there's a lot in store for you if you choose to come. So I welcome all of you. I look forward to meeting you all in person. And I just want to end it with the last statement. It's actually the last sentence, I think, in my chapter. I say it, do it afraid and do it again until fear bows down to your bravery. Thank you all. Have a wonderful evening.
Yes, do it afraid until fear bows down. Agnes, welcome.
I also just echo my co-authors' invite to all, extend invite to all of the community that have joined us today. And also just a call to you to also invite us in your larger groups to spread this good message to out there so that we all live this good gospel that we've started of doing it afraid. So I also want to take this opportunity to thank everyone, just like my predecessors have done, and I invite you on that day to come and continue supporting us and working with us on this journey as we do it afraid, one person at a time. So thank you. Karibuni on the 30th from 2 p.m. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Agnes. That was lovely. And I would welcome our publishing director, the mind behind these powerful stories coming to life, Mr. Doso, to have a closing note and we'll wind down. Welcome, Mr. Doso.
Thank you so very much, Celine. I am so happy today. I am a happy man. Reason why I'm happy is because today we get another opportunity to experience the power and, the value of this whole project. The thinking behind the project was to get people who have gone through it and use them as medicine, use them as something that can inspire hope, and also, demonstrate the strategies that people can use to navigate fear. The book that has been written is a product of voices. 10 different voices are seated inside that book, and the cumulative experience of the book, drawing from the experiences of the people that are speaking in the book, is actually more than 100 years if you add the experiences of each person. So we are bringing you a solution that has more than 100 years of experience to guide you, to speak to you. When I read the book, I feel like I am sitting with a board of advisors around me. They are counseling me. They are telling me, if you find yourself in this industry, this sphere, this is what you do. You find yourself in this situation, this is what you do. And this is a very powerful way of approaching life. Those of us who have worked with personal boards, you know how effective your life can be when you're having people speaking to you from the future, because these ladies are speaking to many of us from the future. They have been through it. They have been there. Now they're speaking to us and telling us, you know what, this is how you navigate this space. And these are the necessary lessons that I have learned that you can pick and use in your space. Of course, you all have felt their voices. You have felt their energy. You have felt their intelligence and their wisdom. You have felt their enthusiasm and also how human they are. What I like about this is that we are experiencing people who are like us. They have lived within our spaces. They are talking about experiences that have happened within our context. So these are not foreigners who are landing from other parts of the world that you may say, well, the environment there is different or opportunities there are different. No, these have struggled with the kind of struggle that you see or you are likely to see and have lived the kind of life that you're living. Most of them have gone through the kind of challenges that you are either going through or have gone through. And therefore, they are believable, they are emulable, you know, they are, you know, their voices are you know, believable, and the lessons they are sharing are practical and real. And what I like about this whole situation is that they are just a phone call away or a DM away or a click away. So when you get an opportunity to grab the book, you can actually see their contacts inside there. So if you have other questions you need, you can actually reach out to them and speak to them. And they're also available. If you go to LinkedIn, you will find them there. So this makes the solution we are offering through this project something that is palatable, that is practical, and contextually relevant. The discussion that has happened today is deep. I have just been writing notes here and also learning, because even me, I'm learning from their wisdom. And I am very, very happy that they were able to spare time to come and speak to us. Ladies, I want you to know that you're very special to me and also to the people that are listening to you. And the value that you're offering through the insights you've shared, the lessons that you've shared with us today is so powerful. If people apply even half of what has been shared today, I know they are going to be liberated. They are going to be set on a higher trajectory. They are going to move at a higher speed, and they're also going to see better results and impact happening around themselves. Allow me to thank the moderator of the day, Celine. You've done an excellent job. I am very proud of you. I will shout this top of my voice today. I'll tell people Celine has done a good job yet again, because last week you also shone very well. This week you've done it even better than what we saw last time. I'll also thank the audience for joining us, those of us who are in the Zoom call, those of us who are following on LinkedIn and on YouTube, on WhatsApp groups. I'm informed the link it has gone to so many WhatsApp groups and people are following the conversation. Thank you, all of you who have joined us from all over the world. Thank you for being a part of this experience. And as has been said by all the ladies that have spoken today, we want to invite you to join us on the 30th of August for a huge celebration day when we will be launching the book. And in that experience, you'll get an opportunity to interact with all the ladies that are featured in the book, and we'll have to listen to them again. I am told they are preparing to share with us very, very powerful nuggets on that particular day. And I can't wait to be in that experience on that day. So you can use the link that has been shared to just do your registration, and then we shall meet on that day. Meanwhile, you can also grab a copy of the book. The links have been shared already. Get to read the book, so when you come to the launch, you are coming with questions. You are coming to have your copy autographed, or to interact one-on-one with the authors who are going to be participated in making this day a success. Lastly, I must thank God for giving us an opportunity to learn from each other today and to sharpen each other as a way of making ourselves more effective and more productive. Thank you, everybody, and God bless you so much. Back to you, Celine.
Thank you so much, Mr. Doso. As he has said, we thank you all for joining us today from Zoom, LinkedIn, YouTube, WhatsApp, to those who have received the link later on, and to the ladies, thank you for sharing your wisdom and courage with us. We're all learning from you all, and we're very glad to have those insights shared with you. And lastly, to the Zion Pal team behind the scenes, thank you for making this webinar and this book and everything today possible. To you all, thank you once again. And remember, let us do it afraid every day. Have a lovely evening, guys, and make sure to keep warm.
Thank you, Celine.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you and bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Lovely evening.